Well, investors were clearly hungry for burrito business Guzman and Gomez yesterday. The Tex-Mex fast food chain rocketed as it floated on the ASX with a closing value of $3 billion. I've missed another one. Ross Greenwood joins us now. Ross, good morning. As Guzman's menu says, choose your heat. This was hot and spicy.
Hot and spicy it was. What's your go, Pete? Is it the burrito or is it the burrito
Always
bowl?
the burrito. Always the burrito. Yeah,
always the burrito,
rip in,
right?
Ross.
How many avocados do they go? Well, you as a consumer, you should have actually got onto this one fairly quickly. But
I thought it was overpriced. But there you go.
Well, that's what a lot of people have thought. And that's a part of the story here as well, is plenty of people are saying this business has got to keep on growing super duper fast if it's going to keep up with the share price. So here's the share price as of yesterday. $30.01 it closed at. The shares on the very first day up by 36%. Now, the important thing about Guzman and Gomez is it's a brilliant business. There's no doubt about that. That's the reason why it's got that valuation on it. But it also gives hope for other companies to perhaps see that there is a market on the ASX right now for new floats, and that is important. But the other point also about Guzman is it's got to keep growing, as I say. Store sales are expecting to get another 40 stores this year and then to roll out 30 stores. So the money that they're raising here from this float effectively is going to fund those new stores into the future to try and achieve that growth. But the whole point about Guzman is really, again, the so-called fast food market. It's very much in a healthy fast food market. How many avocados can a person eat it after all? I mean, it really is just showing signs that investors are keen if they see something that's got a little bit of growth about it as well.
Amazing when you look at some of the other stocks around. I mean, it's higher than, Woodside and some of the banks out there too, Ross. But, the mind boggles. So who made money out of all of this?
All right, so let's go back. The founders obviously made it, but there were some pretty astute investors that have jumped in along the way. And as I say, one of the reasons why these shares went so well is the public didn't get access to these shares, neither did big institutions until yesterday. But if we have a quick look, what you can see is the list of those who made most of the money. TDM Growth Partners are basically a venture capital type thing. They funded Guzman and Gomez right from the get-go. Barrenjoey did the same thing. They bought some shares from Magellan as well along the way. Stephen Marks, one of the founders, and also currently the chief executive of Guzman and Gomez, is there. But have a look at where Super is there. So they've jumped in. So it just shows even big superannuation funds, industry funds, have jumped in there with 6%. Guy Russo's an interesting one here. So Guy Russo's the former boss of McDonald's in Australia. He's the former boss of Kmart, and he became the chairman of Guzman and Gomez, and he picked up 6% of the shares. And you'd have to suggest on yesterday's price, pretty astute to have done so as well.
Okay, very well done. Okay, Ross, now what do you make of this warning that Australia's east coast could have a shortfall of gas this winter?
Well, it plays kind of into the whole story that Peter Dutton is talking about nuclear, doesn't it? Because if we've got shortages of gas right now, what's it going to be like down the path? Now, this is interesting because a warning came out from AEMO the night before last. It was pretty late in the evening, and they brought a whole bunch of the gas players together to basically try and bring more gas into the Australian East Coast system. But AEMO's notice says there is potential for gas supply shortfalls due to depletion of southern storage inventories, and most specifically at the Longford gas plant in Victoria, which processes the gas coming in from Bass Strait. But the real issue is, remember, gas is going to be the fuel that's required when there is not enough renewables in the grid to provide the electricity and the energy that we require. So any shortage of gas becomes a big problem. And if there is a shortage of southern gas from Victoria, that gas will have to come from Queensland. But as the boss of APA Group, the chief executive, told us just a day or so ago, that's causing big problems because these gas pipelines are already pretty much full.
They're also forecasting that by 2028 we're desperately going to need more gas supply brought to market, which is likely to come from the northern supply regions, such as Beetaloo. But equally, we know that in the peak periods, they're also forecasting that in as early as 2025, as early as next year, we could see days where we're without gas.
Okay, Ross, bit of economic stuff overnight?
Yeah, there was a little bit, couple of bits and pieces. One, really strong jobs numbers again out of the United States, which will lead to suggestions that maybe it won't cut interest rates anytime soon. The second one is a surprise, and that is that the Bank of England kept interest rates there on hold. They were broadly expected to follow Canada and Europe and cut interest rates by 0.25% because the UK, its economy, is tanking right now. But ahead of the election, the Bank of England decided to do nothing and kept its rates on hold at 5.25%. But the suggestion is now they might go next month or maybe even after that election.
Okay. Ross Greenwood, good to see you as always. We'll talk to you again soon.